to often not judge what someone's doing, just recognize, oh, okay, cool. They're just seeking unity.
Yep.
But I don't want unity at that level. I'm happy being pink.
Yeah.
And saying, you know what? I'm going to put a boundary up around this relationship because it no longer serves my pinkness. You know?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remove judgment from good or bad, better or worse, higher level frequencies, vibrations, all that sort of stuff that can be quite, it's just judgmental.
Yeah.
And just remembering if someone's behaving a certain way, they just want unity. That's all they want.
Yeah.
But if that's no longer serving you, just saying, no thanks. That's a starting point. And once you really get clear on what is okay for you to have around you, then you will sort of weed out, I guess, to a degree, the people who are constantly trying to get you to become their colour.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll start surrounding people with more of your colour.
Mm, totally.
And then once you have more of that and you establish more of that, you start to attract more of that.
Mm.
And, you know, as Gandhi famously said, be the change you want to see in the world. And I'm actually I just finished his biography. And, I mean, far out. This dude really took that to the next level. You know, him being the change changed the entire state of India.
Simple advice, but yet so hard to execute.
Mm.
But why do you think it's so hard to execute? Like, as soon as I said that, there was like a level of like, hang on, it can't be that hard. Like, come on, like, where can it go wrong? Is it the ego wanting certain things? Is it just like
I honestly think it comes down to definitely lacking one thing. And we all have it, again, but some of us have cultivated a lot more of it. And that is self-awareness. Mm. And self-awareness comes when, as you said, I think I mentioned before, being established in being.
Yeah.
When you're established in being, this comes from having either just being born into that, like someone like Jesus or, you know, some of these great people who walked the earth came into the world with a level of beingness already established. But we can all enhance that. As he did, he spent, you know, from I think the age of 18 to 35, where those years don't appear in the Bible, he was in the Himalayas. Mm. He was studying with great masters. He was a yogi, right? And he was meditating. And so the consistent practice of meditation, and for me it is a Vedic form of meditation, a beingness form of meditation, 20 minutes twice a day, which takes you into the state of being. And being, if you want a definition of that, is the experience of you beyond your mind.
Yeah.
And how do you get there? Because our minds are naturally, they're developed to be thought creators. We don't want to turn that off. I mean, that is certainly a practice which is practiced in monastic traditions like Buddhism. Great if you're in a monastery in the Himalayas. But if you live in the normal world like us and we want to actually integrate and assimilate into the real world, we need a practice which is going to help us integrate and not trying to leave it all behind, right? So a simple practice of meditation which takes us into a state of being every day is going to help us cultivating a level of self-awareness. When we have this self-awareness, we start to know intuitively, because we start to turn on that intuitive perception in our mind. It's one of the levels of the mind, is intuitive perception. We start to make better decisions. So I start to spend my time with people like you, people who are of a similar colour, right? You're a bit more pink and someone down the street might be more blue, right? So I start knowing how to nourish my body, because intuitively I feel what's right for me. Doesn't matter what the latest science is. You know, I've gone down that path. I've made all those, I won't say mistakes, lessons. You know, I start reading different books and watching different films and treating my son differently and treating my wife differently, because I have a level of self-awareness which allows me to tap into my truth, have clarity of thought to then be able to make better choices. And that comes from the simple practice of meditation. So coming back to your question, how do people stay on that path? It's cultivating self-awareness. Because the cost of not doing it becomes too great.
Yeah.
And you just simply no longer accept to be average.
I totally love that you brought that up, especially this morning, I had the best meditation that I've ever had in my life. Like, it actually went a little bit mystical. And it's Father's Day that we're recording this today. And I woke up extra early this morning. I don't know, something just pulled me straight out of bed. I don't know why. And I was like, "Yo, get up." And I scraped my tongue, drank some water, and I sat down for my meditation. And I think it's nearly 2 months now where I've done 2 sessions a day for 20 minutes now. And I profoundly noticed the difference. Like, I know the difference. And this morning it was just insane. I had goosebumps everywhere. I could almost pulsate it as well. I could feel like I could actually like draw it in, and then like it needed to rest, and it was really good. I won't go too far down that path, but I love that you said that, because I was like, I can feel exactly with what you're saying as well.
And it takes time to experience it.
Yes.
And you just got to do it.
Yes.
You've got to be consistent. You've got to show up for yourself.
Yes.
Because if you don't spend time to give yourself love, you're going to suffer eventually.
Yeah.
Because no one else is going to give you the love that you can give yourself.
No.
So, I know I hear this a lot from mothers, single mothers, busy mums, and it's understandable. Like, it's hard being a mum with multiple children. But if they don't top themselves up, there will be a price to pay.
Yeah.
And you do have to structure your life in a way which allows you to top yourself up.
Yeah. It was, I don't think I've ever said this on film. In the first ayahuasca experience I did in Mexico.
The first?
Yeah, the first. There will be a second. One of the parts, it was the best experience I've ever had. I went to a place of pure love, but I also went through one of the scariest places that I ever went to. And it was really interesting because it was all about being completely alone, and it was only me. And it was funny how it completely then came back in a full circle, and I was like, no, but that's okay. It is just me. And that's a good thing, because then I have the ability just to take responsibility and move on with that. So it's funny how, exactly with what you're saying right now, it's like you have the ability to feed yourself and love yourself. And that's the most important thing, because no one else can do it. You should never rely on somebody else to be able to do that. You should never go into a relationship, a marriage, a friendship, and really ever have that expectation, I need this, this, and this, because then it's really going to break down at the end of the day.
100%.
Yeah, okay. Oh, this is good. Now, this is going to be a head-snapping turn right now, but I knew I had to bring this up with Nick, because he's also taught me many other things. And this is conscious ejaculation. Something that I learned through you to begin with, and I found a game changer. Not in just a relationship with my wife Lauren, but a game changer with actually more with myself and the relationship that I had with myself.
Yeah.
Can you just open the Pandora's box and explain what is conscious ejaculation to the audience?
Well, it's definitely a term that I made up, so I think if you Google it, I don't know what you'll find. But yeah,
I'll link to Nick's episode where you explain that, because it'll go much deeper. But
sure,
really
in a nutshell. Yeah, look, it's something which going back to me as a teenager.
Yeah.
Probably like most young men, there was an obsession with my penis. And an obsession with masturbation. I think also because it wasn't spoken about in my house.
Yeah.
And no one told me what this thing is and what it does and what is ejaculation. Like, you sort of learnt about it at school in the sort of basic terms, but there's no education around this. No. Like, none.
Especially not with the emotional side of it as well.
Absolutely. And I just thought, okay, it's a normal thing to just masturbate or ejaculate every day. Like, that's fine, right? Well, it turns out that every time you do that, there's a serious price that your body pays. And depending on where you're at physically, now if you're a teenager or young, in your early 20s and you're like pumped with testosterone, you're going to be able to get through that with more ease. But as the years progress, every time that you do ejaculate, your body basically, in Taoist terms, they would say that it's the equivalent of energy that's in 6 litres of blood.
Wow.
Every time you ejaculate.
Wow.
Because you think about it, in that moment, your body is creating life. In that moment.
Yeah.
Every part, every cell of your body, every organ is like into that second where it creates life. There's so much expenditure?
Yeah.
Spent.
I'll rock with that.
Spent. So much energy spent in that second. And I started to dive into this because I was wondering why I just wasn't having a very fulfilling sex life. It was just, it was mutual masturbation.
Yeah.
Really.
Like you knew you had to do it, kind of out of obligation.
Obligation, and she got her bit off and I got my bit off, and okay, that was all good. And I'd served all my female partners that way for most of my life, where it was just obligation and mutual masturbation. Like, I didn't know what it meant to be of service in sex. And this was a game changer for me, was becoming of service to the feminine during lovemaking. And by me retaining ejaculation and just being fully of service, your attention goes into taking them to a state of bliss. And again, it comes back to being a service, right? By me taking her there, her energy washes over me and fuels me anyway. Right? And I get so much more from that than what I would get from an ejaculation. There's nothing wrong with it. But you have to really measure the frequency. And so conscious ejaculation for me is a choice. So as the masculine, going into a lovemaking session, whether or not you're going to ejaculate. Now that's important because the feminine knows that you're in control. And the feminine wants the masculine to be in control. If the feminine is...
But she will test it.
Every time.
Yeah, I'm still learning, so I want to interject as well. So is that where she obviously wants to test, are you in control? Are you worthy of being my man? And that's where we obviously have to prove it.
Well, that is what the feminine needs to do to the masculine. Is to test you. All the time. Constantly. The masculine needs to know how to stand firm amidst the, I won't call it the chaos, but the fluidity of the feminine. Because the masculine is firm and directional. If you think of the flagpole as the masculine and the flag as the feminine, it's always dancing around the flagpole. And the job of the masculine is to stay firm. And I'm not talking about gender roles and stereotypes. It's the same as a heterosexual relationship to a same-sex relationship. Exactly the same principles apply. There is masculine and feminine in each of us. We each have our own unique balance of those two energies. And there has to be a polarity between you and your partner with the masculine and feminine for there to be attraction. So if you imagine, let's say Lauren, your wife, has been out to work. Let's say she's working a corporate job and you're at home because you work from home, right? And let's say you've been with the girls all day and you have been in a really creative mood, you've been meditating, you've been cooking, which is another creative form. You're in a more feminine state for you. Okay, you're in the home in a more soft space. Let's say Lauren comes home, she's been dealing with traffic, she's been dealing with business people, she's literally wearing the pants energetically, and she walks in more in her masculine, right? Now let's just take the masculine as, say, a plus sign and then feminine as a negative sign. And let's say plus and minus, actually not negative, because I'm not trying to attach anything to it. But let's just say we have both of you coming into that. In that moment she walks home, you're both pluses. Now if you get two magnets that are both pluses and you try and push them together, they don't, right? Doesn't matter what you do, you cannot make them touch. Okay? Or if you do, it takes a hell of a lot of force. Now that is a lack of polarity. Now if you, as the grounded masculine you are, recognize that she's in her masculine, you say, baby, I'll take the girls for a bit, let me run you a bath. And you go run her a bath, put in some Epsom salts, a few drops of essential oil, and she comes out half an hour later a changed woman. She's back in her feminine. She's now that minus sign. And she walks out, she gives you a cuddle, and the attraction's there. That's polarity. And it's really important to maintain that and recognise it in a relationship. You've got to first recognise that within yourself.
Self-awareness comes back again.
And so when it comes back to lovemaking, that will always get tested. And you may be resolute during lovemaking. You are not going to ejaculate because you know that you just did 3 days ago, and maybe you want to space it out every 2 weeks or something.
Yeah.
And she may be like, "Come on, baby. Let's do it together."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And you just may say to her, "Baby, it's all about you."
Yeah.
You know? And even though they may say or think they want you in that moment to do that, ultimately they just want you to be in control.
Yeah.
So that is the point of conscious ejaculation, is going to lovemaking, knowing when to make that choice. And it depends how often you're making love. If you're making love every day, you may ejaculate once a week.
Yeah.
Because it may just be, a bit build up. Or if you're making love every few days, it might be once a month that you ejaculate. Everyone's got their own sweet spot. And I know if I do it more than twice a month, I feel it in my body.
Yeah.
And again, it comes down to body types. Like how much do you have in reserve?
Yeah.
Like you're a very pitta, kaffa body type. You have more in reserve than I do as a vata pitta body type. You could probably expend more than I could and not feel the effects. So again, it's a very unique thing for each person.
I think it's such a great concept to understand, and I recently reread Beyond Mars and Venus. And one thing that I found really great out of that, and I've recommended this to a lot of other guys that I've spoken to that are in new relationships or have been married for a long time, and one thing, I forgot the author's name, one thing he recommends is what's called Venus time, where it's simply 8 minutes, you sit down, she talks about everything that she needs to get off her chest, but she can't talk about you directly. And then at the end, it's 2 minutes, she just talks about all the positive things, and then you hug for 10 seconds and go the other way. And as the male, you don't say anything. You can't be the problem solver. You can't interject. And at the first couple of times that we did it, I just had to be like, "Shut up, Chris, shut up, Chris, shut up, Chris." Like just trying not to let things come out of my mouth because I wanted to problem solve. She'd like say the first thing. I was like, "Well, this is the way we can fix it." Do you know what I mean? Like, and no, that's not where I would be at. And it's been one of the greatest things that we've been able to implement. It's been such a game changer with that. So I just want to make this practical for the audience as well, because Nick has so much wisdom to be able to put forward to you. So I'll make sure when it comes to the conscious ejaculation that you can go and listen to Nick's episode on that, because I highly recommend it. It's been great, and it's definitely a topic that I want to learn, master, and be able to apply so much more on as well. So it's been really good, so thank you.
I remember when we first met, we had lunch at your place, and Lauren said, "Thank you."
There you go. There you go.
So, it works.
It does. It does. And this is the thing as well, and why I really wanted to make sure that this comes up. This should be a conversation that's open.
Oh my God, 100%. I mean, we're all making love, or we should all be making love.
Yeah.
And if not with a partner, with yourself.
Yeah.
In a conscious way. I mean, that's the other thing, even if you're on your own, the great thing about the feminine is they can orgasm to their heart's content. Like, they can just go for it because they actually fuel themselves with that. For the masculine, if you are on your own, you can actually have a Taoist practice where you retain ejaculation, but can still pleasure yourself.
Yeah.
It's very hard to do.
Yeah.
It's a really conscious practice.
Yeah.
I mean, I must say, I don't think I've passed that one with flying colours.
It's alright. You're a blue belt. You're getting up there.
I'm getting up there. But certainly with Melissa, it's a lot easier because I just enjoy watching her.
Yeah.
I just love it.
Totally.
She's literally connecting to God.
Yeah.
In that moment.
And that's the thing, I'll be serious talking from my experience. There's, having an orgasm, great. But watching your partner just go to that other level and knowing that obviously you have brought her there, there's a different level of satisfaction that can come from that. And that's something that I thought was amazing.
It's an important point there, because you said orgasm. And we want to make sure that the men listening understand that orgasm...
Sorry, I understand, yes.
Just to be clear, orgasm and ejaculation are two separate things.
Yes.
And so I guess this is good, because one thing I want to work up to, and I've only experienced briefly on a few occasions, is the male whole body orgasm, which is separate from ejaculation.
Yep.
And I actually experienced it almost by mistake, and I want to go back there so badly, because it's the next level for men, because instead of draining your energy by ejaculating, when you have a full body circulatory orgasm, you can keep doing it over and over again, and just like the female orgasm, it actually fuels you. And again, that is a Taoist practice. There's a great book, The Multi-Orgasmic Man, and it's literally nuts and bolts of how to master that. And it's a real practice, and it starts with how you go to the toilet, actually.
Wow, okay.
So literally practicing pelvic floor exercises when you go to the toilet.
Okay, being able to turn on and off your flow.
Yep. That's simple. Because I talk about this in Conscious Ejaculation. I speak about, you remember, when to breathe the energy out from your, basically from your balls, from testicles, because it gathers there and you have to move it out. Otherwise it'll lead to ejaculation. And so often during lovemaking, not every time, but every few times, I will just pause, close my eyes, take deep breaths in and breathe, and move the energy away from that area of my body, up my spine, and back down the front. It's really easy to do. Really easy. You can literally turn off, I'm about to ejaculate, into I'm all good within like 5 seconds.
Totally.
Yeah, it's really simple.
Dude, so good. I know this is a huge service. I can talk to you for years. This guy is so good. Okay, now, where does someone go to learn more about Nick Broadhurst?
Yeah, look, everything I do is on my website. I am nickbroadhurst.com.
Awesome.
And my social media is the same. I am Nick Broadhurst.
All right, go listen to his music. Go listen to his podcast. Go read absolutely everything you can possibly get your hands onto, because I promise you it will be worth it. I'd love to hear what you think of this episode, what questions you've got for Nick. Next time when we sit down together, what is it that we can actually open up into and start to discover and answer for you as well? And as always, I'm so thankful for you being here with us, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you in the next episode.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
You are truly a great man.
This is where I want to make sure that you get the most out of being here, and I want to hear from you. So if you've enjoyed this episode, click like, and make sure I can send you the new episodes each and every week. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Also, I really want to make sure that I'm giving you exactly what you need. So comment below. I want to know what you're going to take away from this episode. And the best conversations after every episode always happen in the Breaking Success Tribe. I'll pop a link below for you to join the free group so you get access to the guides, the live streams. I'm in there answering your questions personally each and every day. Plus you get all the episodes as well. So thank you so much for being here and joining us. I'm really looking forward to seeing you in the next episode.